Good evening. I have the time as 7:32, and I will call the public hearing and regular business meeting of the Mayor and Council for the City of Snellville, Georgia, Monday, August 26, 2024, to order. We'll start tonight with an invocation to be given by 12 Stone Pastor Jeff Ware. He's the pastor here in Snellville.
Good evening, everyone.
If you'll speak into the microphone so it'll be on the recording as well. Nope.
There we go. Perfect.
There you go.
Can I grab it? No, you can tell I'm not used to standing to stand. They give me
I
something
know you're not used to standing with your back to
I know,
people,
right?
but this is the way we
You gave
roll.
me something I cannot mess up, and look what happens. That's all right. But actually, I want to open this up in prayer. I know there's a lot on the agenda tonight in conversation, so I want to go ahead and just take a moment just to go before God and open in prayer. It's fine. Thank you. And so, dear Heavenly Father, first, we just want to say thank you. We thank you for the opportunity once to actually coming together under this room. I pray for unity. I pray that we have great conversations, and may it be pleasing to us, Father. May there be a moment that we just have a sense that we know there's an agenda, we know there's things that need to move forward, but we know we cannot, and most of us cannot, we move forward without you. And so we pray for every single person in the room, pray for the board, we pray for our mayor, Father, we pray for every single person that is in hearing of this moment. And so, Father, we thank you, we honor you, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. And now for those that are able, if you will please stand for the pledge to be led by Councilmember Norman Carter.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. We have no items under ceremonial matters, so we'll move to the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion?
The motion to approve the minutes of the August 12th, 2024 meetings.
Second.
There is a motion and also a second to approve the minutes for August the 12th. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. We do have an invited guest. We have Bobby Howard, who is going to come forward. Bobby has led the Cop Cab program for the city for a long, long time.
Thank you, Mayor. Hope everybody's having a good night tonight. Mayor, City Council, members, city staff. This evening I stand before you with deep gratitude and a humble heart. For nearly 3 decades I've had the privilege of calling Snellville my home, and it's where my heart truly belongs. The warmth and kindness of the people of this community have embraced my family and me in ways that I will forever cherish. For that I'm sincerely thankful. In 2011, with the encouragement of others, I embarked on a journey that has been one of the most memorable experiences of my life. Serving the residents of Snellville for 6 years as a city council member was an honor. Although I chose not to seek re-election in 2017, I was fortunate to continue my public service through the project close to my heart, the Snellville Cop Cab. The idea for the Snellville Cop Cab was born in 2013, a concept that I believe would benefit our community, and I was heartened by the support it received. With the backing of the Snellville City Council, the Snellville PD, Snellville Tourism and Trade, the Snellville Police Academy Alumni Association, along with community leaders and businesses, the Snellville Cop Cab made its debut a decade ago. These 10 years have been remarkable, allowing me the opportunity to showcase the Snellville Cop Cab across the city, the county, and yes, even the state. Engaging with people and sharing the vital message it carries, there are now 4 similar vehicles in the state, and I've had the privilege of working alongside them spreading the Choose Your Ride story. My hope for the Snellville Cop Cab has always been to spark conversations about the dangers of drinking and driving in an innovative and engaging way. When asked if I believe the cop cab has saved lives, my answer is simple. I hope so. For those who aren't familiar with the backstory, when I was 16 years old, I made some poor decisions. Underage drinking, getting behind the wheel, driving too fast. After dropping off my best friend, I lost control of the car, which flipped multiple times and landed upside down in a ditch. Miraculously, I walked away with just a scratch. The experience was terrifying, and it ended with me being taken to the ER, having my blood alcohol level tested, and then taken to jail for the suspected DUI. My blood alcohol level was .09, just below the legal limit of .10 at that time. I was incredibly lucky to survive that night. I know that by only the grace of God am I still here today. That experience is why I was so passionate about this cause. If you've seen the Snellville cop cab around town, I hope it has prompted you to share the story with your children, friends, and loved ones. You may never know whose life you might save by doing so. I could not have dedicated myself to this effort without the financial and in-kind support of many. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the following: the Snellville City Council, the Snellville Tourism and Trade Group, Snellville Police Department, Snellville Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association, Snellville Public Works, A Better Sign, Kathy Emanuel and Councilman Dave Emanuel, Walton EMC, Walker Smith Body Shop, Eastside Medical Center, Wild Wing Cafe, Statewide Wrecker, Guide Incorporated, which is Gwinnett United in Drug Education, the Gwinnett Sunrise Rotary Club, the Snellville Lions Club, Tony Financial, Fantasia Travel, Legacy Beverage, Mulla Mushroom, Lincoln Fill Station, and Fast Sign Snellville. I could not have done this without their support, and I really greatly appreciate it. The past 10 years have been incredibly rewarding as I've shared the Choose Your Ride story with thousands of people. Perhaps you'll see a new version of the cop cab in the future. You never know. As a token of my appreciation, I would like to present each member of the Snellville City Council with a challenge coin that I designed. It serves as a reminder of the past 10 years and a bold and positive light that we've shown a wonderful city. I'm forever grateful for the opportunity to serve. In closing, I want to share that my desire to serve continues to grow. I'm now seeking to do so on a broader scale as I run for District 3 Commissioner here in Gwinnett, representing the citizens of Snellville, Lawrenceville, Tequila, Grayson, and Loganville. Thank you, Snellville, for your love and support you have shown me. My hope is to continue serving you in the years to come. Thank you.
Bobby, and on behalf of the Snellville City Council, and I'll speak for the police department as well, we appreciate and owe you a debt of gratitude for your dedication and your support of this program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have no committee or department report, so we'll move to the approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve tonight's agenda as published August 26, 2024.
Councilmember Linsky, if you want to go ahead and in the approval of the agenda, go ahead and postpone item A, second reading RZ 24-02.
With the following change. Under public hearing, second reading, RZ 24-02, we'll be postponing that item until the September 9th reading for a public hearing and second reading.
So there is a motion to approve the agenda with postponing item A, the second reading RZ 24-02, which is the Parkland Communities, Inc. on Highway 78, to September 9th. So that is the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. It is 6 in favor with none opposed. So now we'll move to the public hearing, and as you just heard with the approval of the agenda and may not have understood, item A was second reading RZ 24-02, which is the property owners Vikram Chahardi and Grace Ridge Snellville LLC, and then Parkland Communities applicant. It's for a 64-unit townhome development on Highway 78 that is being postponed as a request by the applicant until September 9th. And there will also be another public hearing held on that. We did already have a public hearing on that, and it was postponed. The final vote was postponed until tonight. But there were some potential changes to the site plan, so we will open that for another public hearing on September 9th. So if anyone is here for that rezoning, please come back on September 9th. Next, we have item B, second reading RZ 24-01, LUP 24-01, and SUP 24-01. Consideration and action on applications by First Baptist Church of Snellville, Inc., the property owner, and Eris Holdings, LLC, the applicant, requesting to amend this Snellville 2045 future land use map from residential low density to town center, amend the official zoning map from RS30 single family residential district to TCR town center residential district, request for a special use permit, and request for variances from the Snellville Unified Development Ordinance for a multifamily development consisting of 300 town center flat units on a 16.96 plus or minus acre tract located at Henry Clower Boulevard, Pine Street, and Church Street. Its Snellville tax parcels 5027001, 015, 016, 016A, 020, 021, 097, 009, 124, 113, 007, and 11,325 square feet of Pine Street right-of-way, which is to be abandoned. If you all will indulge me a second, I would like to read kind of the ground rules for tonight. In order to help everyone have an equal opportunity to be heard and minimize distractions, I ask the audience to please silence or turn off any electronic communication devices. I would like to remind everyone present that this is an official public meeting at which important business is conducted, and it is a legal process. The city attorney has advised the council that audience outbursts, including applause, have been used by the courts to overturn zoning decisions. Therefore, I ask that you refrain from applause and all other extraneous remarks. Each side will be allowed a total of 15 minutes for support and 15 minutes in opposition. The time will be kept by our city attorney. This is not per person, but in total. So you may wish to consider coordinating any arguments beforehand or consider having a spokesperson present your position. If council members ask questions of you, it will not be deducted from your time. Should you have the opportunity to come to the microphone to make a comment in support or in opposition to any of the requests before us, please state your name and address for the public record before beginning. Also, you will only be given one opportunity to come up to the microphone to speak. Please also direct all of your comments to myself and the council and not to the applicant or to another speaker. The way the process will work is that Jason Thompson, our Director of Planning and Development, will introduce the case, and he will review the case according to the Planning Commission and then the Planning Department review and the Planning Commission results. The council will then be allowed to ask questions of Mr. Thompson. Then we will ask for the applicant to come forward, and the applicant will be given in the 15 minutes. The applicant will be able to present their case. Then the council members can ask the applicant questions at that time. And then we will ask for anyone who would like to speak in support. That's when we open the public hearing. We'll ask for people to come forward who would like to speak in support. There'd be 15 minutes for that. And then for people that would like to come and speak in opposition. After the public hearing portion closes, after either the time limit or people are finished speaking, whichever comes first, the applicant will be able to come forward to offer rebuttal to any of the questions or comments. And then the council will have time for discussion and then the vote. So we'll start, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thank you to the public coming out and being a part of the process this evening. We have a case in front of us, RZ 24-01, LUP, or Land Use Plan Amendment 24.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, could Mr.
closer?
Thompson, could you speak directly into the microphone? Thank you. We got it. Usually it's just us listening to you, but we got a crowd.
Can we jack it up a little bit? Turn it up. Can you turn it up? Okay. We got case number RZ 24-01, which is rezoning 24-01, land use plan amendment 24-01, as well as a special use permit for multifamily housing, also known and numbered 24-01, excuse me. Rezoning land use plan amendment and special use permit and associated request for variances. The size is approximately 16.96 acres. The tax parcels affected were read into the record, and I'll show a chart here in a second just to show the exact parcels involved. Go ahead and show you now. Just so everyone knows, the blue parcels in question are the ones that are going to be changed for the future land use map from No Business Creek to Town Center. The 22% there represents the change where active development will take place. The yellow in the bottom, as you can see, this helps a little bit. The parcels to the east, 5.7.96, those approximately represent over 50% of the application. And outside of that hard blue line, please excuse my artistic abilities about the limits of my talent, shows where there will be active development, parking lot, and or building on what is currently the No Business Creek land use plan. The highlighted area, which is nearly 9 acres and more than 50% of the application, will remain deed restricted to no development outside of that small portion, that little square, and any kind of walking trail. So I think it's important to understand that although we're here for 19 acres, to change the rezoning is really only looking at 3.75 with active development, while the rest will remain undeveloped and deed restricted, if approved, forever. And the reason that has to be included in the application is so that we can condition the property of such if it is approved. So just to kind of clear out what we're actually changing, you can see it a little bigger here. Here's the green space. There's a creek here with some walking trail. All of this, if approved, will have no development rights when we're done with it. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's go back to the site plan.
Mr. Thompson, I don't usually interrupt you in
Please
your
do.
initial, but there is a house located on that property that's going to be deed restricted.
It's gone now.
Oh, it's already been
It's
demolished.
gone. It's just the basement there now, and they're going to clean that up later.
Okay,
But
well-
it's been moved. It was moved.
Okay,
The
that answers
church
my
was able to
question.
move it and retain some of its value. So it was moved about 12 months ago. It's been a little while, but
Okay.
not too long.
Thank you.
Not too long. Yeah, so there's no house there anymore. Okay, back to the meat of the application. 300-unit town center flat, multi-family development with 285, 868 square foot, 4-story buildings with 4 buildings as shown on the site. 1, 2, 3, and 4, with the 2 largest buildings fronting Lenora Church on grade, to the 2 others located behind the existing football field or multi-sport field. They're actually taking half of that field for that building, so it'll be half the size as what you see out there, and then the other one will line the backside with the associated parcel. There was no longer a road connection shown as well to Pine Street. That's been terminated. Fire safety is good with the layout, so we don't feel like they need the additional access. Plus, that was a sticking point with the residents we heard during the planning commission. So it's a little bit of the site design. You can see the pool amenity areas up front. Most of the parking lot will be shielded from view from the buildings, and you won't see the inside from the road. Again, the proposed development is located next to several single-family homes in the H.O. Biggers subdivision on Pine Street. As you can see, the neighboring parcels on Pine Street, the ones included here, are already owned by the church and were already part of their ownership. Did not have to buy any more land. So kind of understand what we're doing. The request is to change everything that's not town center land use to town center land use, to show you that, to rezone the entire property because it does not have, it has currently the zoning of the church, which is RS30, and then a special use permit for this multifamily, which is a requirement in the town center so that mayor, council, public have stricter oversight over density, building types, and pretty much, just gives us more ability to really look at it. So they would need approval on all of those to move the project forward. So they've also requested a few variances. We'll get back to those again, but just real quick, this is the town center overlay. As shown are the actual land use. We're on the edge here, and that's where it abuts the next one, which is No Business Creek. And I showed you kind of earlier, No Business Creek is a character area that preserves residential, low-density residential of the past. Town center is one that looks to activate the town center in a mixed-use environment. So we believe that the proposed project meets the town center character area with minimal intrusion of 4 acres to actively change it to town center land use from No Business Creek, as I showed earlier. The special use permit is basically just to approve the apartments. We recommend approval as shown. And there's some early elevations that we have. I'll let the applicant speak to it a little more. But as we see them now, it's just kind of basic. That's what each building type would look like. I understand there's some desire to maybe infuse some color and make sure that each building looks separate, so we don't have a monotone kind of development. Something I'll let the applicant address, but I'd like to kind of dive into the variances real quick, especially a couple of them that are really germane to the project. So the first request is the one we'll probably spend the most time on. We have a request, and the code requires that for every certain amount of residential you build, you have to have 5,000 square feet of commercial to every 30 units, unless you're adjacent to 5,000 square feet within, variance 15,000 square feet within 1,000 square feet. The applicant contends that the church in and of itself is enough to meet this requirement. Technically, I agree. They do offer services that are open to the public. They have pre-K, summer camps, leagues, non-church leagues there for sports, coffee shop, and those have been enumerated by the applicant and submitted into the record, and let them speak a little bit more to that. So we recommend approval of that, but furthermore, just to show that the intent of the ordinance is to mix uses around us and not necessarily within the same development. You've got some 5-minute walk times over to Golden Crust and Burger King, You've got a 5-minute walk up to the green, you've got a 4-minute walk up to the dermatology spot over there, and then an 8-minute walk to the Grove, all very walkable and under the basically 15-minute limit of people's walking. So we recommend approval on that one. They've requested to make the buildings a little bit longer than the 200 feet maximum to 275, so they can actually fit the unit that they want there. This would be 275 instead of 200, and that's why I also think it's important that we add some architectural variability so that length isn't stretched out by a monotone elevation. Believe the applicant is open to any of that. I'll let them speak to that a little bit further. So we recommend approval as long as we get to, we'll approve what comes in if it's approved down the road separately. They've also requested, in order to reduce the impact of impervious surfaces, from 600 spaces to 423, which is roughly 1.5 per unit, which is pretty much the industry standard. We recommend approval. They've also, per the code, recommended moving some of the planter islands around. We said we deny that one and recommend that they meet the code specifically. Where the planting parker lot islands are, I believe they're okay with that as well. And then there's a variance to allow the building wall, a wall adjacent to building 4 into the buffer so they can get back and build the wall to the correct height. This development is going to be above the adjoining development, so the walls are necessary to catch grade to come back for the parking lot and all the buildings. The front buildings on Lenore Church will also be to grade as well, so there'll be some walls there, but not intruding into the buffer. The buffer will be replanted with typical buffer detail. I've got that too somewhere, where it's disturbed, and possibly a fence. Anyways, we recommend approval for that. Quick note on traffic impact. The traffic impact analysis was prepared by the Foresight Group, and I'm just reading their analysis of it. We're not traffic engineers. We did have our traffic engineer look at it, and he seemed to agree with basically the results of the report. They found that it's a residential project, and there will be some strain on existing infrastructure and networks that will need to be mitigated with turn lanes, deceleration lanes, and whatever else is recommended by the Gwinnett and Georgia DOT to observe existing levels of service, meaning that if it's a B now, it won't be a C when they're done. They have to maintain the existing services, and that's how traffic is reported, A, B, C, D, just like a report card. So they'll be basically have to do whatever the DOT requires and any other conditions that are placed on the property. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, with traffic. In order to kind of mitigate what we can and to make it truly more, of course we want everybody to walk, but those that don't want to walk, we have suggested to the applicant to put in some microtransit stations, and you'll see those are pickups, one at the top and one at the bottom, so everybody can catch a ride anywhere in Snellville for like $2. They can go to the Grove, they can go wherever, but we feel like the integration of those public transit options into these developments are going to take more cars off the road too. So that was another traffic mitigation that was put in. As far as the site, the traffic, the building elevations, I'll just read our recommendations, kind of verbatim: approval of the LUP, approval of the rezoning, approval of the SUP, all tied to the current site plan. Approval of the variance for the necessity to have 50,000 square feet of commercial on the bottom floor. And approval of the variance to increase the 200-foot maximum building facade length. Denial of the request to locate parking lot planter islands, and approval to allow site work and disturbance within the 15-foot undisturbed buffer. and approval to encroach in another spot adjacent to Building 4 for a retaining wall. All the buffers will be replanted per the buffer detail. I'll just go ahead and read the conditions into the record so everybody knows what we're talking about. Number 1 is pretty standard. It ties the property to the most recent site plan. It also, further, number 2, basically alliterates what's being included into the town overlay district. This is all just basic good housekeeping to make sure we get everything done. It should also apply to, there's a small piece of right-of-way located in there still that needs to be abandoned by the city. This makes sure that the zoning action is included for that right-of-way. The abandonment, if approved, will be handled later. Also requires the applicant to install 10-foot sidewalks adjacent to Henry Clower. That's already part of the code. We want to make sure the expectation was clear. No sidewalk and planter strippers required where the property abuts the 350 feet of Pine Street, because we want to keep that, separate. Applicant developer shall extend first right of refusal to allow the city to remove and transplant all those crepe myrtles up there that we had them plant like 10 years ago when they built the field. No adult entertainment and no signs higher than 15 feet or larger than 225 square feet are allowed, AKA prohibited. Be happy to answer any questions or fill in the gaps if I missed something for somebody.
Mr. Thompson, I have one question. Please. On the variance to increase the building maximum feet, is that for all 4 buildings or just the 2 on Henry Clower?
I believe it's for all of them, but I'll let the applicant opine.
Okay.
I believe it's 1, 2, 3, and 4 because they all look to be about the same length, honestly, without scaling it out. I mean, those look over 200 feet.
Okay. Are there any questions by council for Mr. Thompson?
Okay, Jason, could you point out on this particular map that the public can see where the entrances and exit points are to this particular complex?
So the main entrance and exit will be found on Henry Clower, and it'll line up with the entrance and exit and the curb cut or the lane cut across the street to the other church. And then there's kind of another way out through the old existing drive if you were to use it. It's not shown on here, but you could go up here, come over, go around the field, and then you traverse along the church's existing parking lot all the way over to Church Street. We didn't make the connection from the development from Church Street because we really don't think that street can handle any kind of real traffic. So besides a few people, most are likely going to use Henry Clower to get a light access.
Okay, so just to recap, the main entrance exit point is onto Henry Clower,
It is.
lining up with the, I want to say the Methodist Church entry, but I know it's not that.
Community Methodist.
Snellville Community Methodist,
Snellville
okay.
Community, yeah.
And then there is that same cut through the parking lot area onto Church as there is now.
That exists
basically.
now, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And they removed there was one other connection for connectivity on the bottom, but after hearing, the citizens, it was removed as not necessary.
So no cut through, no connection to Pine Street.
0 unless
Okay.
they go around and hit it, through Church, get all the way around.
Okay, thank you.
Any other council members have questions for Mr. Thompson? Thank you, Jason. Is the applicant present? You come forward. If you will state your name and address for the record.
Need any of this?
Sir, and I'll ask you to speak directly into the
Sure, yeah,
microphone so
sorry.
that we've got a lot of people in the room just so that they can hear.
I can probably lean over if I have to. Can you get it up? All right, that's fine. That works. Okay. That might be easier. My name is Park Lammerts with Aris Holdings, 1810 Horsham Trail, Milton, Georgia. Good evening, council members, mayor, and mayor pro tem. First off, we'd like to thank you for the time today. I really appreciate the opportunity to discuss this project and these applications. The proposed development, as Jason mentioned, is for a Class A residential community consisting of 300 stacked town center flats, which range in size from 753 square feet to 1,241 square feet. And the project will have 197 one-bedroom units and 103 two-bedroom units. The community and all the units will have top-of-the-line finishes, and amenities will include state-of-the-art fitness facilities, resort-style pool and clubhouse, yoga studio, business and media centers, as well as ample outdoor green spaces. We will only have 1- and 2-bedroom flats, with the anticipated demographic being young professionals and empty nesters, to try to minimize the potential impacts on local school enrollment. It will also, as Jason mentioned on the right side, which you can't really see here, but preserve 6 acres of open green space with walking trails that will be available for public use and will connect to the Greenway Trail, giving downtown and neighborhood residents additional outdoor amenities as encouraged in the comp plan. Again, as Jason mentioned, to reduce traffic and try to minimize traffic to and from the site, we have added 2 Gwinnett County micro transit stops in the community that are located at the front and the back of the property to access areas in Snellville. I would like to point out a few changes to the plan since our initial submittal, which Jason mentioned a few of these as well, but we have agreed to close off the Pine Street access after discussion with the neighbors, and so that will be all traffic will flow out of the front of the site, and there will be no connectivity running through the neighborhood. We've also relocated the dumpster, and I think this is the updated plan, from the back of the site around the residences to the front of the site, which will be screened and will not be visible to the from the main road. Additionally, we will increase the buffer screening to provide an 8-foot tall opaque fence in the buffer if there are residential homes and neighbors surrounding, kind of on the south side and the west side there, to eliminate any sort of buffer concerns, as well as the additional plantings and buffer detail that we've provided. And for the elevations, I know Jason mentioned this as well. The buildings, we are open to going through a design review or bringing back elevations for approval, because we certainly understand that was kind of our first pass, was to really model it after the town center and the church and this building, but certainly understand that to keep some variations there, we're happy to bring that back for approval at a later date. Finally, I'd like to just highlight real quickly a few of the major benefits for the city that this development will provide. First, the land is currently owned by the church and is untaxed. This project will have a value of over $100 million upon completion and will create a large tax benefit for the city that is currently unrealized. It will also bring additional rooftops to the area, which will help draw commercial and restaurant tenants to the town center, which in turn draws new residents and increases tenant sales. I have mentioned that it will create 6 acres of public park space and continue the city's Greenway Trail. And finally, lastly, just from an engineering standpoint, there is an issue of sewer that in discussions with the county, the sewer for downtown is currently at capacity. And I think their verbiage to us was that it needs about 2,500 linear feet of improvements to allow for any new development in the town center area on the north side of 78 or over on this side. So the sewer line runs directly through the site, and we will be able to facilitate those improvements needed to make sure that the growth in the city is not stalled from lack of sewer and infrastructure. In closing, we believe this project is consistent with the comprehensive plan's intent of extending the town center across 78 and will bring needed rooftops to further activate the downtown area, which will in turn bring restaurants and commercial users to the town center and help promote the live, work, play environment that's called out in the comp plan. So with that, I'd like to thank you for the time and would be happy to answer any questions related to this application.
Thank you, Mr. Lammerts.
Sure.
Are there questions of the City Council for Mr. Lammerts?
So the lack of sewer capacity how does that impact this development in terms of your perspective?
From our perspective,
Financially especially.
yeah, from our perspective, we will have to obviously upgrade the system in order to build this. So for us, it's it's just a cost that we'll have to work around with the county and potentially any other developers that are going to develop in this area. But it's from what we understand, it's it's a pretty significant amount of line that needs to be corrected. That we've done a similar situation in Kennesaw with them, where we had to upgrade a large line. We have a development downtown there, and worked with them to provide that construction and get that done, so they had future capacity as well as capacity for us. That makes sense.
Just one quick question.
Sure.
What's the timeline on a project like this? I know
Sure.
the sewer's probably a 2-3 year, potentially 18 months.
Yeah.
How long does it take to go from start to finish on
Sure.
this?
I mean, outside of the sewer, we would, if you allow 5 to 6 months for permitting, we're probably a 14-month construction time from start to finish. That's after, site work maybe is probably 40% of that, and 60% of that's vertical. So this would be, if we started, kicked off tomorrow on permitting and civil design, I would say it would be mid-2026. It's kind of a realistic timeline. I mean, give or take, obviously, sometimes it moves a little slower or faster.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Lammert's a question on the size of the buildings for the
Sure.
variance. Is
Yes.
it all buildings?
I
or-
believe all of them are over that 200 feet. I'm not sure. I want to say potentially, and maybe Jason would know this, the way the code reads, is it 200 feet just on buildings facing public streets? I think it might just be on Henry
Henry
Clower
Clower.
are the ones we need variances on.
Okay.
Just because I believe that's the code, the way it reads, but maybe Jason can confirm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, you said you moved the dumpster from the rear of the
Yes.
property to the front. Could
Yes.
you just point out the
Sure,
dumpster
yes.
location
So
on this map?
The dumpster was right here,
Okay,
kind of adjacent to the neighboring residences, and we've moved it up right here.
okay. Now, are the residents responsible for carrying their trash to the dumpster, or how does it,
Sure.
is it collected within
Yes.
each?
This is it's called
building?
valet trash, so there are trash chutes.
Okay.
And then the maintenance staff brings it out twice a day, and they put it in the dumpster, so residents won't be going back and forth to the
Okay.
dumpster. It's handled by staff.
Other questions of council for Mr. Lammerts? Nope. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You have time.
You have 10 minutes and 5 seconds for rebuttal.
Okay, thank you so much.
Now, I will open the floor to public comment. We will start with anyone in support of this project. Now, just keep in mind, there's 15 minutes total for support of the project, so please, we ask that you keep your comments concise so that you allow anyone else that would like to come forward and speak as well, and then come forward and just provide your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name's Pastor Brian Boyles. You want my street address where I live? Yeah, 642 Brook Hills Drive, Covington, 30014. And just wanted to share our reason for, as a church, being in support of this. And so I just got a couple minutes that I put together something. It starts with just the fact that all of us at First Baptist Snellville have had a long-standing and great relationship with the city and with the city council for a long time. Honestly, we've had a great relationship since 1882. Been a good member of the community for over, 140 years. And to this day, we still have maintained a mutual desire along with the city for the safety and security of all of our citizens. And so we would never support something that we felt would hurt that in any way. We've continued to maintain a wonderful relationship, partnering together with the city for things like 4th of July, fireworks displays and things like that. It's going back decades. I feel like we've developed a great rapport and trust and relationship with each other as a congregation and as a board. And not just as a church, but also as individuals. Some of you I've gotten to know even outside of official, conversations, and so I've enjoyed that. I know some of you all know me, and so I'm grateful for that. Also, our church has had a great relationship, even in our church, not just here. I've been here a number of times and done prayers and things like this, and so I'm thankful for the opportunity, want to continue to have that opportunity. We've always, as our congregation, every time you guys have come through, we recognize the congregation's always celebrated and love seeing you guys. We've also had a great relationship with the city police. They're very involved every week at our church, very involved not just on Sundays, every Sunday, but every other event. Honestly, everything the police department ever asks, the answer is always yes, and they're there all the time for training and things like this. I just pointed out just because we've just maintained and adore our great relationship with the city. We don't want anything that would wound that. Also, I feel like I need to say, as a church leadership, the deacons, the leaders, trustees, elders, the staff, myself, as we've engaged this development group, I just want to say one last thing. You all know me as a pastor, which I've been for over 20 years, but before I was in ministry, I went to school for architecture. I was involved in architecture, and I had a great job at an incredible architecture firm, one of the largest in North Carolina. I just want to say that this group that we've been enacting with, and we interviewed multiple before we worked with this one. This is the kind of group, this is the group that Snellville should want to engage. I've never seen another group more willing to do whatever it takes and whatever is needed with such kindness and understanding. As they've interacted with you all, as they've interacted with Jason, as they've interacted with us, they've been nothing but open, honest, and accommodating with everything that's ever been asked of them. And so if this were not to get approved, how could we ever expect to attract other groups like them? They've been fantastic. And so City Council, Mayor Bender, I sincerely ask that you would approve this request. We don't want to see people continue to drive past Snellville on the way to Lawrenceville, Duluth, or other cities that have made the investment to attract young families. We want to see people in our city as a great place to live. And so this proposed development gives them a place to live right next to the Grove where they can live, work, eat, and socialize, and we can continue to serve. Our plan as a church is to continue to serve the city and continue to serve the 300 or so units that will be filled by the folks that will move here. We have plans in place and we're excited to do it. So thank you for your time. I'm really grateful for your leadership, and thanks for giving me a chance.
There you go. That's good. Okay. I may need to come back up. Okay, will do. Hello, my name's Michael Williamson. I live at 2055 Woodbury Run Drive. I am chairman of the Board of Trustees at First Baptist Church on Main. And I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with your mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council. Thank you so much. And the outset, well, let me call to your memory, you might be able to see it, maybe not, your City of Snellville 2045 plan. I've been a resident here in City of Snellville for 31 years, and I've seen this plan develop, and with anticipation, quite frankly, since the whole development was started back on Wisteria, and it died back there in 2008, and been looking forward to what's going on and taking place in downtown Snellville right now. But I want to call to your memory that vision statement that is in the City of Snellville 2045 Comprehensive Plan. It says, in its second century, Snellville is a progressive, thriving community that is family-friendly and booming with activity. Rooted in its people, anchored by a vibrant town center, our multi-generational, multicultural city sets the standard for quality of life, balanced growth, and economic opportunity. As a council, you have promoted this vision, and were elected based on, partly, if not significantly, based on that vision.
we've been looking forward to it. Along with this vision, a few pages later, there are a host of strategies that are listed to help this vision occur. There are 7 strategies listed. The second strategy lists specifically an effort to diversify housing options near the town center, with one key policy, H-2.2, within that strategy to encourage the construction of housing types to support all age groups, incomes, and lifestyles. The comprehensive plan then proceeds to publish 2 maps, a future development map and a future land use map. You can see it's been referenced several times tonight, the town center area. If we take a closer look at the future land use map, we can see that the property in question that within this rezoning request is right here, and it is virtually, well, all the structures within that, as we've seen this evening already, virtually all the structures are already within that town center section of this development area. In the town center section of your 2045 plan, or our 2045 plan, there's a character of descriptions on page 49 where several key implementation strategies are listed. The very first bullet point describes a strategy to actively promote and actively promote redevelopment through the Downtown Development Authority to assemble parcels and attract private development partners. Exactly what is happening. And even the 7th bullet point on that page encourages a direction to focus higher density residential development in this specific area. Again, this is specifically what is happening in this proposal, this request for rezoning. Lastly, the City of Snellville 2045 comprehensive plan, the technical addendum, both of these were adopted in February of this year, obviously. Appendix C, page 50, Snellville community engagement was encouraged to the tune of 8 different times, to the tune of 8 in-person and 2 online meetings and planning sessions throughout the 2023, a year ago. I presume that many that are in attendance today that oppose this project were there during these working sessions and these planning sessions. That is where much of what we've been debating should have already taken place. So to oppose at this point seems to me, based on the 2045 plan and what's been proposed and what your vision, our vision for the City of Snellville is based on that plan, seems to be trying to close the barn doors after the horses are out. So my questions are these. In the 6 months since the adoption of of the 2045 plan and the amendment to it, has our vision changed? Are we going a different direction? Doesn't the project that's been detailed and requested and placed in front of you, don't they meet almost exactly what you're looking for with that 2045 plan? If not, have our hopes as Snellville citizens and our votes.
5 minutes left.
5 minutes is up. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Mike Sabag. I live at 1600 Summit View Way in the great city of Snellville. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight in favor of the proposed 300-unit apartment complex known as the Henry Clower Boulevard multifamily development. This development located at the site of my church of over 30 years. as a member, First Baptist Church, also known as Church of Maine. This represents an opportunity for positive growth in our city that will serve the needs of our citizens and contribute to the prosperity of the city of Snellville. As we know, Snellville is part of Gwinnett County, which boasts a population of close to 1 million residents, making it one of the most populous counties in the state of Georgia. Snellville itself is home to approximately 20, maybe 21,000 people, residents. With such a significant population, our community has a continuous demand for quality housing that can accommodate the diverse needs of our residents. This development will add value to our city by providing high-quality housing that attracts and retains residents who are looking for a place to call home, like I did 34 years ago. The increased housing option will also enhance our city's reputation as a vibrant and growing community that welcomes new opportunities. With careful planning and collaboration between the developers and the city, we can ensure that the necessary utilities, transportation, public services will be adequately supported. Additionally, this development of the 300 apartments, strategic location on Henry Cloud Boulevard, allows it to integrate seamlessly with what we just mentioned about the urban landscape and the downtown. In fact, the additional of these 300 apartments will bring numerous benefits to Snellville. It will increase the city's tax base, as mentioned earlier by the clients, which can be reinvested to public services, schools, infrastructure improvements, etc. The development will also encourage local businesses to thrive, as more residents will create greater demand for goods and services. In conclusion, Mayor and Council, I urge you to vote in favor of this development. The Henry Cloud Boulevard multifamily project aligns with the long-term vision of Snellville as a city of growth, opportunity, and inclusiveness. By supporting this project, you're making an investment in future of our city, a future that's bright, prosperous, and welcome to all. Thank you so much. I try to be fast. I hope you got all the words that I was speaking, because I know I got a line behind me.
There are 2 minutes and 5 seconds left for public comment and support.
I may use them. My name is Richard Patterson, and I'm a Snellville, also city resident. Live at 2135 Woodbury Run Drive, down the street from Mike. I want to speak specifically to two what I call economic issues that will benefit the city if rezoning is approved, one being sales tax. I know there's going to be a lot of construction managers and construction guys on that site for, he said, through 2026. They're going to be in the city, they're going to be spending money, probably looking for lunches, probably buying gases. Those sales taxes are going to be a short-term issue. I see a greater long-term sales tax issue once the development is complete and those 300 families get into the area and start looking for the resources that the city of Snellville has to offer. That would be grocery stores, that would be clothing stores, that would be restaurants, that would be entertainment venues, and that also would be gas stations and possibly maybe some auto repair shops. So that's going to create a revenue stream longer term than the short-term sales tax I mentioned. I was glad to hear the $100 million number mentioned, because the other issue I want to talk about was property taxes. I can't fathom what the property tax bill would be on a $100 million project, but I would suggest it will probably be very large, and that's going to be a long-term increase in the city's revenue stream. So I would suggest, or I would request that the variances that have been mentioned be approved so that the development can get started fairly quickly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
There are 19 seconds remaining.
Lawton Roberts, 4511 Cotton Trail. One thing that hasn't been mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, is that the proceeds from the sale of this project, what's going to happen to that money? We're going to give our congregation an opportunity to consider using some of that for the first major renovation of our worship center, our 1,000-plus seat worship center over 30 years. That benefits the whole community. Ask South Gwinnett, ask other organizations, other churches that we invite to come in and use that for the benefit of the whole community. Move to approve.
I will allow an additional 5 minutes since we still have a few more people in line, and then we will also extend that 5 minutes for the opposition as well.
Thank you. My name's Ken Hood, 1500 Winding Creek Circle, Snellville, Georgia. I've been a resident of Snellville 52 years and also a member of Church on Main, formerly First Baptist Church, for these 52 years. Since I've been there at the church, I've seen our church do wonderful things in ministry, from sponsoring a scout troop, sponsoring a Cub Pack, supplying weekend food to 12, 14 area elementary, middle schools, open our field and our doors to the community. And I watched this go on and on and on, and it's just, and even our field and our gym is open to, and in order to continue to do these glorious things, if we can sell the property and get more money, then we can enhance that and do more for the Lord. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
4 minutes and 13 seconds.
All right, Brandon Roscoe, 905 Yarmouth Court in the Brookwood District. So thank you guys, thank you Mayor, thank you Council, thank you others for allowing the opportunity to share about our project that has been proposed through these guys. And I just want to echo the fact that Brian brought up. It would have taken a significant amount of dollars, probably somewhere $1 billion or more, to hire one firm to totally redesign, master plan, master build the entire Snellville corridor. That would have been a significant risk to the city, and I see a lot of wisdom in choosing to go a different direction to allow other developers to come in and help with and defray some of that cost and reduce the necessary risk in order to build here in the area. And so the point I want to pick up on that is you got to make sure those developers that come in have the type of relationship that these guys have brought to the table. As we went through a selection process of working through them, we eliminated several other developers that didn't meet a strict criteria that we held. So I assure you, what you've heard in this room, even tonight and even other meetings with the Planning Commission, the flexibility and the maintenance of a relationship is so important when we try to figure out how to pull these kind of deals together, as you especially consider this project juxtaposed to other projects, they all have to start to come together under the leadership of you guys and Jason and his team. So thank you so much for allowing the opportunity to have these guys come out and be a part of the proposal. I look forward to seeing how this turns out tonight and look forward to seeing how the overall Snellville community, downtown specifically, changes, not only for now, but for my family in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You have 2 minutes and 34 seconds.
Hi, I'll be quick. I'm Tommy Rutledge. I live at 2495 Amber Brick Lane in Grayson. I myself am 61 years old. I've lived in or around Snellville city limits all my life, and I consider Snellville to be my home, and it always has been and always will be. The one thing that I just wanted to commend all of you, City Council, on is, you know, all my 61 years of living in and around Snellville, it seems like Snellville has always had a hard time, you know, finding out who Snellville is and where the center is. And you guys have begun that process with the Grove and done a great job with that. And I just wanted to point out that this proposed development just fits right in with exactly that project and that 2045 long-range plan. And we need this kind of project. We've had meetings over at the Grove. We've seen the clients that are moving in there. It's a high level of, it's just a lot of young professionals, and that's exactly what we need more of to support these restaurants and the things that are going to be, you know, entertained in the Grove. So just wanted to thank y'all. Thank y'all for seeing that vision and continuing with that vision.
Thank you, sir.
1 minute and 18 seconds left.
There's 1 minute if anyone wants to come forward in support. Seeing none, then I will close the public hearing portion for support, and we will move to the public portion for opposition. Again,
19 minutes. Because he didn't use all of it, so he left a minute on the table.
So we have 19 minutes for opposition because we provided 19 minutes for support. So please state your name and address for the record and set us off.
Good evening. My name is Corey Finn. I am a trustee for this property right here. I have a couple statements. I'm going to take about 30 seconds, and then I have a question. The couple statements that I have is I've spent the last 15 years supporting multifamily communities and their security. One of the biggest complaints or troubles that they see to overcome is pet wastes. I have multiple clients who have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on video camera systems just to find their people who are not taking care of pet waste. That being said, I don't want to tell anyone what they can do with their property. I do want to have input when it could potentially affect my property. So my question to the council, and thank you all for being here tonight, you too, Mayor, is can we ask for some type of environmental protection to be written into these plans, if approved, for adjacent properties? If you note, my property is approximately 8 to 12 feet from where potentially 100 to 600 dogs may be using the restroom.
So that's the dog park right there in the corner?
Yes, ma'am, right
Okay.
here. So what my question is, assuming approval, what can the council assure to the residents for both smell and runoff for that, and hold this property accountable if they do not comply with that? I know that you can't answer that directly, but I may respectfully request that you may ask the applicant that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
17 minutes and 12 seconds remain.
Hi, Sherry Allen, representing my parents' property. This is that large piece right here at 2458 Haight Street South. I addressed about the dog park to the potential person building, and he said that they could possibly work something out to where they can move that section, but I too have the concern of a dog toilet in my parents' backyard. I'm estimating if there's 300 units, if half of them have pets, some may not, but some might have 2. We have 3 dogs. Every week I have a 3-gallon pail of dog poop. I can't fathom what that amount of dogs is going to bring. And then also with the disease and poop worms and all the things that pets can have that they don't get their pets taken care of. That's one concern. My other concern is the fence. It's awesome that he's mentioning an 8-foot fence, but I haven't heard yet what kind of fence that's going to be. Is it going to be a chain link? And if it is chain link, is it going to have vine control? Are they going to be responsible for making sure that that kudzu or any kind of vines that are going to be growing, or any kind of wood that's going to be rotting and decaying within a matter of a couple of few years, because there is still green space there, is it going to be maintained? And if the dog park exists, if they move it to another section, I think it does need to be maintained, like somebody breaking into cars on their parking lot. So could the cameras face to see which one of their residents is not complying? Another thing that I have is all these complexes that are being built all over Snellville, they want to go residential. And my understanding is you have to be 40 feet from the street. They won't let you build any closer, but all these complexes are all 10, 15 feet. My concern is along Henry Clower, as close as it is to Henry Clower Boulevard, if one car jumped that curb, it's going into that building, that whole curve around there. My parents live here. We moved here in 1978, and when Henry Clower went in, it's been speeding cars like crazy to try to get in by, to where they're wanting to go, which is dangerous. Another concern I have is with the taxes. Yes, it's going to bring a lot of tax revenue to Snellville, and I get that growth does happen. But what is that going to do to all the residents south of this 300-unit complex? Are my parents' taxes going to be so big that they can't even afford to stay in retirement? I don't have the answers. I'm hoping you can maybe, put some light on it. Larger buildings, does that mean we're going to have less green space than what was originally put in the system, put in the last 2 times? We don't want Snellville to look like a concrete jungle. We need all the trees, greenery, shrubs, bushes, and if the buildings are even bigger now than what they were before, and there's 9 acres of what they have allocated for green space on the opposite end that nobody sees driving down 78 or driving around Henry Clower, all that's allocated to, they're not going to build, they're going to leave it the way it is, it's still going to stay green, well, then the buildings got bigger. You know, I want to keep Snellville as pretty as we can. And know that the residents that are all surrounding this area already aren't going to have their taxes raised to put in something bigger for bigger tax revenue and what's already going to be, I'm sorry, I'm viewing this as though it's already going through. Like I say, just you know, what kind of fence is it going to be? Is it going to affect the taxes for the existing residents? If we wanted to build in the front of my parents' house, are we going to be able to? They're a residential home. If we wanted to build out to the front to take care of my parents, it's going to have to be a bigger house, but are we going to be told no because we have to maintain 40 feet from the street? So that's about what I got. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There's 13 minutes remaining.
I'm Wanda Cochran. I live at 2536 Pine Street. And the first thing I wanted to do was to ask you about the end of Pine Street, in which you've told me that it's going to be closed. But I would like to have a fence or a wall at the end of that, and not a gate. I sound like a frog. But for 42 years, my husband and I have lived on Pine Street. It's quiet and peaceful. It's quiet and peaceful. It's an area of thriving wildlife, birds, trees. There's an elderly lady that lives down here at the corner of Pine Street. She's 90-something years old. She's partially blind. She will never move until she passes. I've talked to her family about that. She'll never know what's going on here. And what I feel like is, with Sherry's daddy living here, he has dementia, serious dementia. He will never understand what's going on. He doesn't like loud noises, and he will not understand what's going on around him. My question is, did anybody consider, the developers or the church leaders, the consequences of interruption of the peaceful lives to these existing elderly and sick residents in the area? I have bronchial asthma. I have all kinds of problems. But did the leaders think about that? Do they think about that before they go into a community and change it? Do they think of the old people? Do they think of the sick people? I don't think they do. I don't even think the leaders of the church did that either. We know that the church on Main wants their money and the city needs the revenue. We also know that money talks. And I am certain that the recommendation of this project has already been sanctioned. I really do. So let's talk about the construction site. We've been advised by the developers that this project will take between 18 months and 2 years to complete. And then it appears that the project is the first in the city to encroach on the dignity of residential lives. So the interruption of our peaceful lives began. First, the trees would be cut down, destroying animal and bird habitats, and greatly increasing the road noise from Henry Clower Boulevard, and increasing the heat index in the summer, because there'd be no more trees. If you go down Henry Clower, you see all the trees, they'd be gone. The construction noise, the fluctuations of hammers, concrete trucks, saws, dust, backhoes, dump trucks, more disruption in our lives. I mentioned that I have asthma, so the dust exposure will worsen my condition. So that's 18 months to 2 years of noise and pollution.
There are 10 minutes left.
And enduring potential consequences on our lives, including additional health concerns. The map shows the area. This is my main thing. Like just Stace said, this is the dog park. That's our house. We have the dog park in front of us. Will they be responsible to pick up their own dog poop? Or are we going to be smelling it? Will they smoke? Will we smell that? Will there be a lot of people there? That could be a possibility of crime, drug activity, because it's in a corner by itself. That I don't like at all. But more important, as in many of the apartment complexes in Gwinnett County, this back corner could eventually become an area of dangerous and unlawful activities, including drug activities. Of course, we're not in the Brookwood area, so the Pine, Maple, and Maple Streets are old houses. It's E.R. Snell subdivision, named from probably one of the oldest subdivisions in the town, and it was named for one of the founding fathers. And you're going to be destroying most of that because they're all old people that live in there. I only ask that you take consideration of the residents' concerns very seriously and reject this project as planned. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Gay Bruce, 1710 Woodbury Run Drive in Snellville. I stand before you this evening to remind you that your decision on this rezoning application will have a direct impact on the quality of life and character of the Snellville area for many years to come. In recent years, a large percentage of residential housing approved by this council has been for multifamily apartments and townhomes. Currently, in addition to this rezoning application, there was the other one that was tabled tonight for 64-unit townhome unit. Just last month, Mayor and Council approved a 5-story multifamily development of 177 apartments. These numbers do not include the 277 apartments in the Tomlin, the additional townhomes in Town Center on Wisteria Drive at Clower Street, the 101 townhomes at 124 towards Centerville, or the 300 multifamily units and 28 attached townhomes at Rosebud Road and Highway 78. In addition, it's my understanding that the vacant land behind Snellville Community Church on Henry Clower Boulevard and Lenora Church has already been rezoned for multifamily development, and a developer is interested in building 131 multifamily townhomes there. A quick tally of just these apartments and townhomes mentioned is over 1,078 transitional multifamily units. Adding in 300 apartments proposed in this development would bring the total of transitional multifamily units to over 1,378 units. Having had the opportunity to house sit for a homeowner on Maple Street in the past, I decided to review this rezoning application and have serious reservations regarding the proposed multifamily apartment development, and I'm asking you to deny it for the following reasons. 1, the traffic study includes the intersection of Poplar Street at Pate Street, as I've marked on the arrow. But it does not include the intersection of Poplar Street and Maple Street on the map. This is where the traffic study was done. This intersection was not done on a traffic study. Maple Street is such a popular cut-through for area residents and worshipers at the Church on Main, going from Highway 78 to Lenora Church Road, that homeowners on Maple Street had speed bumps installed several years ago to stop speeders and deter through traffic. Increased traffic from the proposed apartment tenants would disrupt the quality of life and negatively impact the homeowners on Maple Street, and the applicant has already said that the Church Street would be another entry and exit to this development. 2, in reviewing the Snellville Municipal Code under Article 5, Special and Overlay Districts in Section 205-1, Town Center Overlay in Section 205.1.1 for purpose, letter I states, quote, that the quality of life in existing nearby neighborhoods should be preserved and protected. In my opinion, any reasonable person would understand that building 300 apartments next to well-established single-family homes would not be, quote, preserving and protecting existing nearby neighborhoods. 2, letter G under the same section of Snellville Code states, quote, that interconnected networks of streets should be designed to disperse traffic, reduce the length and number of car trips, and create pedestrian-friendly area where alternatives to driving are viable transportation options, close quote. Under the current rezoning application request, the development will not be pedestrian-friendly
as access to Town Center will require crossing 4-lane US Highway 78, which is scheduled for additional widening in the foreseeable future. In addition, the proposed development is not adjacent to the, quote, existing interconnected network of streets in the immediate Town Center area. 4, letter C, section 205.1.1 of the same Snellville Municipal Code states, quote, that the Town Center should support economic growth and vitality of the city of Snellville. As discussed in the Planning Commission meeting on June 25th, your appointed planning commissioners denied this rezoning application because, in part, it deemed that a church daycare, preschool, church coffee shop, and church event space does not support the economic development growth and mixed-use requirements for the Town Center district. As an alternative, I would like to suggest that a single-family cluster home development would be more compatible with the existing single-family homes behind the church on Main. There are several benefits for building single-family cluster homes. 1, they would attract young professionals and empty nesters without negatively impacting area schools. 2, they would add to the city's tax base to increase tax revenue that would be generated from parcels currently untaxed. 3, single-family cluster homes would help activate the Town Center area with additional rooftops needed to further commercial and restaurant tenancy. 4, single-family cluster homes would be more in keeping with the well-established single-family residential area that currently exists and borders some of this property, while providing a less density than the 300-unit multifamily apartment development. This proposed multifamily development is a proposal for this land, but I suggest it's not the best proposal. For these reasons, I respectfully request that you adhere to the stipulations mentioned in the Snellville City Code of Ordinances and uphold the 5-0 decision by your appointed planning commissioners and deny RZ 24-01. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Period's in 1750 Glenhaven Court, and I'm going to attempt to do something unheard of for me, and that's speak fast. I'm not opposed to development of this property. What I am opposed to is this proposal. A lot of the previous speakers have spoken in support of the town center concept, and as you know, I'm all in on that. But unfortunately, they're taking a lot of liberties with the town center concept. My opinion, the city of Snellville is not in an economic development position. Like, this is not a small business incubator project. It's a $100 million project. If the developer can't meet their desired return using the city's guidelines that were thought out over a long time, a lot of effort, many of the people here participated in that, then they need to change. The city doesn't need to change for them. And to consider that the church on Main meets the commercial definition, to me, is ludicrous. The city does not treat the church as a commercial operation. You don't tax it, you don't treat it in the same manner. You can't have your cake and eat it too. I think that going on record and saying that the church meets the commercial, number one, sets a bad precedent, and number two, sets you up for a lawsuit. So, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
1 minute, 27 seconds.
All right, good evening. Susan Langley, 2735 Green Valley Road. I'm a resident of the No Business Creek District. Quickly, just wanted to highlight that the comprehensive plan has more districts in it other than Town Center, and you'll see that all of these, except for 4 acres, are in No Business Creek. And so in that comprehensive plan, there is an emphasis on maintaining our quality of life and not having flow-through traffic. So this document that I'm showing you is the August case summary. So when we talked about traffic earlier, there was no mention of cut-through traffic through Pine, Pate, and Popular Streets. Also, this new discovery that there will be cut-through traffic allowed to go onto Church Street, exiting out right there at Britt Elementary School is interesting, and I think we need to discuss it more and hear more about that. And lastly, I want to say about the traffic study, the assumption that only 1/3 of the residents would be driving at peak traffic hours doesn't align with the statistics from this Census Department on the number of residents in this Snellville, the number of cars that are in that household, and the number of people that work in this city, because it's 9,000 jobs, 20,000 people live here.
Thank you. Our time has expired for public comment in opposition. We appreciate everyone who has come out either in support or in opposition to this project. We appreciate your involvement in your community in this manner.
Can I ask a question?
No, sir. We don't have anything called out from the audience. So where we are in the process is I will close the public hearing portion. We have the applicant does he have any time left? The applicant has 10 minutes and 5 seconds left for any rebuttal. Mr. Lammerts, if you'd like to speak.
Thank you, and we certainly appreciate everyone's comments and definitely understand a number of these concerns. I'll just go down the list and address the ones that we really thought were most prevalent and try to get to all of them. Number one, there were some concerns over the dog park. The grading of the site, it'll be entirely underground detention, so all runoff will go underground into the chambers. So there shouldn't be any sort of runoff, but understanding concerns, and I certainly understand smells, and I think, we have no desire to leave that there if that is an issue for the public, and I would recommend moving the dog park. We're fine moving it, I would say, if you can see this, when we can move it over here totally away from any of the residents and get it entirely out of anyone's area of concern. So we're totally fine with that, and we want to be flexible on those on that issue. So as far as I know, there was some mention of Pine Street. The Pine Street access, one note on Pine Street, someone mentioned the traffic study, that one of the intersections on Maple, and I believe it was Poplar, was not studied, and that the other side was. The reason that was studied is because at the time, we did have that as an entry point into the development, as an access point. Since then, we've removed it. We changed it at one point to just an emergency-only access, but then we got rid of it entirely, and that's why that area was studied. Maple wasn't, because even though there is a cut through Church, we don't envision any of our residents wanting to drive all the way around through a church, down through the neighborhood, to get to basically the same point they could get to leaving the site and potentially circling around where lights are. The Pine Street, the fencing, someone mentioned they don't want a gate there. There will be no gate. We will have the opaque fence, the same opaque fence that we have. I know someone else mentioned the materials of the fence. It won't be chain link. It will be an opaque fence. You can't see through it. It's going to be either wood, or they have some sort of wood with screening. So it will be, it'll be completely there. Yeah, sorry. I was just noting on the fencing. The fencing will be opaque. It will be, around the entire southern edge where the neighborhood is, and it will be, unscalable, and you can't see through it. So no chain link. What else do we have? Taxes. Someone mentioned taxes. Since this is a large project that will bring in tax revenue, I think there was some concern of, does this raise the neighbors' taxes? Obviously, that's, the value of this will not affect, the millage rate or increase the millage rate for the neighbors, and their properties will remain, taxed at the same rate that they are unless council changes the millage rate or the county. Let's see. I think the biggest thing, and then there was mention of the commercial. the church does have a number of, and in the code, there's nowhere in the code that says the uses have to be restaurant, or retail, or any form of commercial. It has to have a commercial use. And all of the uses that we outlined in our submittal are all in the code under the sections that we outlined as commercial uses, open to the public. They are charged for these. These are not just church uses. These are, for example, outdoor recreation is one. Sports teams. Their field is utilized for I-9 sports, which is not a free program. It's a qualifying under the code as a commercial use. So I just wanted to kind of touch on that because I know there's some ambiguity there. But that's one thing that I know was brought up. As I mentioned, I mean, we feel like the benefit is here. We feel like it really aligns with the comp plan, and we feel like it's a benefit to the growth, and we certainly will do our best to work with council, work with planning, work with development to try to make this ensure that this is a successful project. And we certainly understand impacting the neighbors and impacting the wildlife, and which is one reason we're leaving all of the open space and the green space and really trying to impact as little as possible. So unless there are any other questions, I certainly appreciate the time and would respectfully ask that this application be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Lammerts. Are there any other questions by council? Then I will call for a motion. Nope.
Madam Mayor, make a motion to approve LUP 24-01.
If I may, Mayor Pro Tem, let me just explain for the public's benefit. We do this in 3 separate votes. We have 3 items before us under this one project. The first that will be voted on is the land use plan amendment. That's LUP 24-01. If that were to pass, then we will move on to the rezoning, which is RZ 24-01. And then if that were to pass, then we will move to the SUP 24-01. The SUP stands for Special Use Permit, and that would allow for multifamily housing. Thank you, sir.
Do I need to repeat my motion?
No, you have a motion to approve LUP 24-01.
Second.
There is a motion and there is a second. Any discussion by council on the LUP? Then I will ask for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 5 in favor. Any opposed? That's 1 opposed. Next, we will move to action on RZ 24-01.
Madam Mayor, make a motion to approve RZ 24-01 with the following additional conditions. The first condition being applicant will submit updated architectural design for approval by the Director of Planning and Development for final approval. The 4 main buildings will have variations of both architectural design and color. Number 2, there shall be an 8-foot opaque fence, style and material and design to be approved by the Director of Planning and Development. In addition to those, the proposed plantings where the development abuts parcels 5027027 and 5027051 and parcel 5027014, 5027099, parcel 5027A005, 5027A006, 5027A007, 027A008, wherever land is disturbed, as well as the frontage along Pine Street. The fence may be inside the landscape strip wherever the buffer remains undisturbed and shall be installed at the elevation, the highest elevation, even on top of any retaining walls. Buffers and fencing shall be installed at the earliest possible time of construction to preserve and enhance the privacy of the adjacent residences. Number 3, the design and integration of the covered microtransit locations are to be approved. The final design is to be approved by the Director of Planning and Development. And 4th, parcels and portions thereof not used in the construction of the design as proposed will be deed restricted to preserve the land in its natural state, with the exception of the walking trail system. And number 5, the plans will be amended to move the dog park to the southeast corner of the development adjacent to Building 4.
Mr. Warner, are you asking to also include the 8 staff recommended conditions and variances?
Absolutely. Oh, and the recommendations and conditions as put forth in ordinance 202412, I believe. But thanks for jumping the gun there. That is my motion if anyone has any questions.
So we have a motion for approval with the terms and conditions as stated by the planning department, and then including 5 new conditions as just read by Mayor Pro Tem Warner. So that there is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Hang on, let me get back to my page here where I'm keeping track of things. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion by council? I would like to say that I do appreciate all of you coming out tonight, either in support or in opposition to this. We appreciate all of the emails that we have received over the past several months as this project has been in formation. This is a very, very hard decision. This, as I've been on council for as long as I have, we've faced some very, very difficult decisions. And none of these are easy. And speaking for myself, I do look at all sides. I look at the impact for everyone around a project, everyone in the city, and it's just, sometimes it's just hard. But I did just want to express that. Anyone else have any other comment? Then I will call for the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 5 in favor. Any opposed? 1 opposed. The rezoning is approved. And now we will move to the SUP 24-01. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve SUP 24-01. Old man eyes.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Any comment or discussion by council? Then all in favor, please raise your hand. That is 5 in favor. Any opposed? 1 opposed. The SUP is approved. Now we will move to item C, second reading CIC 24-01, consideration and action on application by John Gaskin, Patrick Malloy Communities, the applicant, and Ballantree PMC Summit Chase LLC, the property owner, requesting a change in conditions from the April 26, 2021 approved rezoning. I'm going to pause for a couple of minutes to allow anyone to leave.
Madam Mayor, since we're pausing for a couple of minutes, may I take a moment of personal privilege?
Yes, you may. We'll do a 5-minute recess then. Good evening. I will call the meeting back to order. I don't have a gavel. If I could have your attention. Look, our city manager stepping in for my gavel. I've never used a gavel. I don't even know where it is because we were gavelled so much before that just never wanted to see one again in my life. Okay, so we are going to go back under our public hearing items here. Do I need to tell you the time or did you get it? Okay. We are on item C, second reading, CIC 24-01, consideration and action on application by John Gaskin, Patrick Malloy Communities, the applicant, and Ballantree PMC Summit Chase LLC, property owner, requesting a change in conditions from the April 26, 2021 approved rezoning from RS30 to the RO district. That was case RZ 21-02, LUP 21-02, and ordinance number 2021-10. Approved for a 21-lot, age-restricted, single-family detached residential subdivision, Soleil Summit Chase, on a 5.58 plus or minus acre tract located at the intersection of Rosebud Road and Temple Johnson Road at 3491 Rosebud Road, Snellville, tax parcel 5094327. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you tonight is a change in conditions 24-01. You'll see another similar one for the remainder of the development next. But basically, there's two things that the applicant is here to request, and this is specific to the property, which we know is the old tennis courts, which is the 5.58 acres that's shown with the yellow and the green for future development as an extended phase that was bought after the original rezoning due to some title restrictions. So that's why we have two requests. It was two separate rezonings, so we have two sets of conditions. The original conditions from the larger property were then just conveyed during the rezoning. So the two requests are, one is to request to replace the condition that defines the type of architectural treatments that will be used, and that was condition 17. It was 45% of the units shall have a front facade of cedar shake accent with 3-foot brick water table. Side elevations shall be constructed of stained, painted cedar shake and/or cement board siding. The second was 45% of the units shall have a front facade composed of cedar shake accent with 30% brick masonry accent. Side and rear elevations shall be constructed of stained, painted cedar shake and/or cement board siding. And C, 10% must have 70% brick masonry. Side and rear elevations shall be constructed of stained, painted cedar shake. And what we found, the applicant found when trying to meet these requirements with their actual plan book, that didn't allow them enough variation to use the other prominent and really popular building supplies. Cedar shakes are used, but not to that degree anymore, and it really kind of pigeonholed them into one kind of product with little to no variation. And since that time, going through the permitting process, the planning department has worked with the applicant, and now we have this community plan book. This has every floor plan they have. I believe there's 12 or 13 with every variation possible to the exterior of the structure. We have A, B, C, and D in most options, and the minimum standards are met in the minimum elevation here. Basically, you can add as much brick, stone, or whatever you want to. It also upholds to the minimums that you set forth in the original rezoning. So just so everything is up to date, this will be the Bible of the community now, and anything outside of that will require variance approval or change in conditions again. So we're basically just replacing that condition, this plan book that's been gone over and vetted for almost a year and a half now. So we've approved that, we've reviewed it, it meets it. The second condition was one that was put in for maintenance standards, as anybody would be worried that the homes are going to be taken care of, they're going to be repainted. At the time, the condition was introduced that the homeowners association shall be responsible for requiring homeowners to assume exterior maintenance of, wait, that's the replacement. Here we go. Here's the original. The homeowners association shall be responsible for the exterior maintenance of individual residences to include, at a minimum, of the painting of the exteriors on a rotation not to extend 10 years. And I believe that was done in an abundance of caution, but when the applicant looked at what that was going to cost to add that into the HOA fees, it was a significant increase that most homeowners would probably just pay to paint their own homes, which is the standard across the state and most of the country is individual responsibility for a home you own. These are all fee simple, they're not rentals, they're mostly owner occupied. So they would be responsible for the maintenance, but then the HOA would be responsible for doing inspections and making sure that everything is repaired or repainted in a timely manner. We can also enforce lack of home maintenance through our code enforcement codes. So we feel like this condition provides the same amount of protection with less burden on the new or existing homeowners. And that's really the only two conditions that will be changed. The rest will remain unchanged, and we recommend approval with the new conditions as stated.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson, and I have a question on the materials from what was originally in the conditions with the 45% and 75% and requiring stone or brick and the shakes, but it was also included that it was concrete siding. I just want to make sure, have we made or allowed any changes in the quality of the materials?
No.
or
Not at all.
like that?
The masonry siding is still a standard, and we've actually allowed to use better materials in combination with the cedar and the shake, the brick, the stone, different combinations, and you can basically brick the whole thing if you want. It allows the choice to the owner with minimum standards that are as good or better than what was originally approved.
Thank you. Any other questions of council for Mr. Thompson? Nope. The applicant is present. Mr. Gaskin, if you'd like to come up and explain or present your change in conditions.
Yes, for the record, my name is John Gaskin, applicant on behalf of Patrick Malloy Communities. And I'm not going to go back to the details. Obviously, it's boring and everybody's tired this time of night. But from a practical standpoint, essentially, when we first bought the property, we knew essentially, this is our third age-restricted community, by the way, and the product gets refined with every community. And as we closed on this property with original rezoning, we weren't sure exactly the specifications for the houses. We do know that now, and that has been what's submitted in the architectural book. And from a practical standpoint, what that does for your staff, when we submit permits, building permits, it allows an expedited review process. They don't have to go through and check percentages and so forth. And from a builder, it helps us. Also, it kind of speeds up the timetable. So everybody knows what's being built, and it makes the whole process easier for both us and the city. And then secondly, the change in the covenants. Again, this is our third age-restricted community. The community is gated. And the exterior maintenance in all our communities is basically the landscaping of the houses. The houses are all fee simple. It's like any other subdivision once you got inside the gate. Everybody owns their house. These houses are 600,000 and up, so it's a very wealthy, pretty much, clientele. And what the HOA does do is about every third year we inspect the houses, and if there is any sort of maintenance issue, we do address that to the homeowner. Typically, we don't have to do that. Most homeowners in our other communities, we have one that's 10 years old, about every 3 years the homeowners come in and repaint, 3 to 5 years. So essentially this modification or changing condition will just shift the responsibility from the homeowners association back to the property owners, homeowners, just like it is in every other subdivision. And the HOA still has the ability to enforce, as does the city with some sort of building standards and codes. We as a builder won't allow it to get to that perspective, because if we're going to be here for probably at least 5 years, if somebody's not painted in 3 years, or somehow it gives a bad look to the rest of the neighborhood, it's not in our best interest because we're still trying to sell homes. So the same conditions that I just spoke about apply to the next case, 2402. So unless there are questions, I won't get up and bore you again with the same sort of thing. It's just we had 2 different zoning categories because of the time difference of when we closed on the 2 different properties. So I'll answer any questions, reserve the rest of my time if there's any opposition. And again, unless you want me to, I won't speak on the next case.
Okay. Are there any questions?
Yes, Madam Mayor. One question, some of the adjacent neighbors to the, if this is north, south, east, west, looking at it, to the west, have had some issues being next to the ongoing development. Would you be amenable just on the next zoning, since we're going to try to take care of this without you getting up twice? So on the one that comes under CIC-02, a 6-foot fence to run from what is lot 241 along the, or inside the property line down to 157 up at that far corner. Is that a possibility, just alleviate some of the issues that have come up with adjacent neighbors? And I'll be happy to show you on a better drawing.
I think I know the area you're talking about. I think there was some, okay.
Yep, that's it.
So you're wanting a 6-foot fence that entire length? That's a mile of property, probably. So just so you know, there is now I know there was some material that was there somewhere in that area, and I think it's a little further up past the big green block. And Jason called me or sent me a text or an email a couple of weeks ago, and that was cleaned up. I'm not even sure who left it. Our development division went out and cleaned that up. So there is a 25-foot landscape strip between that private street and those lots. And part of the zoning code, and you can, I'll ask you, maybe he remembers, or he can enforce what I'm saying, but my understanding is we get into those phases, the requirement under our zoning is that the county arborist or planner or somebody from the county, rather, I'm sorry, not the county, but the city will walk the property and they look at the existing landscape, and if any of it has to be enhanced, there's a requirement that we have to essentially replant to make it a solid vegetative buffer. So, so we are having to, that is a restriction that we're having to comply with. It's just that we're not into that last phase yet to where that buffer or that landscape area has been walked and determine what needs to be replanted. So what I could offer, I think, and again, I'm coming to this issue kind of new, and to be honest, I wasn't expecting it tonight as part, because it was not part of the zoning condition or conditions that I'm asking to change. But in order to be a good neighbor, I mean, particularly if it's going to help us get these conditions changed. I know, I think the particular property where there is some sort of issue, and quite honestly, I'm fairly empathetic because the people living on the street, we're looking at the golf course now, they're going to be looking at 250 homes. And there's not, 25 feet is not that much, but in front of the particular property that has the person who has complained, I'd be willing to put a fence there, but I can't, I'd have to get permission. And to be honest, I don't think I could get permission to run it the entire length because of the cost. I mean, to put a 6-foot fence in something at this stage of the game, because that's a new development issue. I will tell you that those lots that back up to the 25-foot strip, the people have a right to put a privacy fence there. Typically, they do as those homes are built. So that will do some screening there. They also, I'll offer, again, this is not in terms of addressing the format tonight. I'll leave my personal business card, and instead of this gentleman or the party having to contact the city, if they'll call me directly, like we did last time a couple of weeks ago. Sometimes our contractors will stack things out there temporarily or what. Anyway, it's still a nuisance to that property owner, and certainly I don't want that to go on.
Right, and that's the issue is eventually it will be planted and eventually it'll look nice,
Right.
but it has looked like a moonscape since 2019. It's been a while, and it is causing some distress to the adjacent homeowners, so we certainly would appreciate
May I make a suggestion? Since this is not something on the agenda tonight, and quite honestly, I'm not in a position to make that position. I have certain abilities to negotiate, certain things. But this was not something I was able to discuss, with our lenders. And so if we could, may I suggest this? Let's deal with what's on the agenda tonight. And then if you'll put us back on maybe the September or the October agenda, I'll work. To be honest, I've never met the person. I'm aware that there is a complaint.
Okay,
we'll try to reach an agreement.
Fine.
Okay.
I just brought it up tonight because it's the only time that we as a body have leverage.
I understand.
So since you've come before us asking for a change in conditions, it is the time when we can put conditions in. So
I understand.
I understand your situation. I just want to make sure that our citizens are happy and feel they've been made whole.
Okay. As you may remember, on the other side of the property, when we were zoning the property, there's a condition to put a fencing in there. And it came at the time, early on when we were able to, put it in the budgets. And if it were just a few lots or a few feet, obviously I could do. But again, if you'd like,
if you would lots.
Well, if you, for instance, if you want to talk to Jason and say, we'll put you back on the agenda, or under, it may not be under zoning, but other business or something, we can come back and publicly address it, and I'll tell you what sort of motion.
I'll be fine with that.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Gaskin?
Mr. Gaskin,
Yes, ma'am.
I do know there's a couple homeowners that you have sold homes to.
Yes.
Now, if you're changing the maintenance to where the HOA was doing it previously, and now the HOA is going to be informing homeowners when maintenance needs to be done, will those homeowners that have already purchased homes, signed a contract with you, will their maintenance still be done by the HOA?
Okay,
I
that's
assume they'll be
a good question.
grandfathered in?
Well, they have that option, but they just recently closed. So this application and the whole thought process has been going on for a while. So I know of all the issues that people have when they close, I know this was one of the issues that, that you will be responsible for your home. So they have the right to either say we want the homeowners association to maintain it, since they were in there prior to this condition being
Yeah,
changed.
that was.
Or they can, accept the new covenant. So they do have the ability not to come in under a change in covenants.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of council?
I have a question, but I believe it's for Jason and possibly Chuck more so.
Thank you, Mr. Gaskin.
Okay.
Is he good? Oh, okay. Under what format could we reintroduce this condition
You
in
can't.
September?
The best thing to do would, honestly, if you want to keep it open, is this one is not affected. Push this one through and you could table it. I mean, that's really the only way to keep it over, is to a date certain. Give them some time to work it out, 2 weeks, maybe put them on next time with the other application. If that's not enough time, we have to push it out again. But once we close it,
Yeah.
we can't, I don't know of any kind of metric or tool that we could use to reopen it without their request. Now, we could initiate a change in conditions, then we're starting the legal process all over. Best bet, this one's unaffected. If you're okay with it, have it. And then we can open it up. You can have the same thing. You can ask to request the table for a couple weeks or a month or whatever. But that's right, Chuck, the only way to keep to open to the public and to have basically have any opportunity to condition the property.
There are two separate requests for changing conditions, and the first one that we are considering, and only that one right now, is CIC 24-01, does not concern the properties, I believe, that the Mayor Pro Tem is discussing. So,
Correct.
but the second one would. So that's correct. You can do what you want to do on the first one, but if the issue needs to stay open, tabling is the only alternative on the second one. Leave that open for 30 days and come back and see what happens. But you can't, there's no other put it on the calendar later.
Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion on CIC 24-01. Oh, I'm sorry, we haven't had the public hearing yet. It's getting late. Okay, so we've had the presentation by Mr. Thompson with the Planning Department, and we've had Mr. Gaskin's description of what's going on. So now I will open the floor to public comment. Anyone either for or against this change in conditions, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
And again, this one is only for the first one that deals with the 21 lot parcel. There will be another hearing in just a few minutes brought up, or that will deal with the other parcel.
Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. Good afternoon, councilmen and women. My name is Kenneth Fawkes, reside at 1323 Temple Johnson. This developer sold my father a house without disclosing water line issues. This developer should have had the knowledge about the water line being illegally moved without a permit onto their property before they signed an agreement. The water line is supposed to be on our property. The city of Snellville has no record of the water line being moved. We found out the water line was moved because this developer damaged our water line, which is on their property. This caused an excessive water bill. Who's going to pay for this water bill? Who's going to pay to move the line? Why should it be me? This is there is unregulated water running through the meter even after you shut off water from the property. Where does the water go? No one knows. This developer hasn't removed all of the debris overgrowth alongside our private driveway, servicing our existing community from ongoing construction taking place right next to and including our road easement. I'm requesting the developer provide a permanent barrier, and 6 foot isn't tall enough. And they're complaining about cost. Well, look at the cost that we have to come out that will block any visual or acoustic population from our existing community. And with their blasting on their property, it messed up our foundation, and we had to pay to get it fixed, but that's ongoing litigation. So I appreciate you guys for listening to me today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing portion. and entertain a motion. Oh, Mr. Gaskin, do you have any rebuttal? Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve CIC 24-01 with the inclusion of the staff recommended changes and conditions referenced in ordinance 2024-09.
There is a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion by council? Then I will ask for the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. So now we'll move to item D, second reading CIC 24-02, consideration and action on application by John Gaskin, Patrick Malloy Communities applicant, and Ballantyre PNC Summit Chase LLC property owner, requesting a change in conditions CIC 24-02 from the June 10th, 2019 approved rezoning from RS 180 to RHOP 55. Single-family district. That was case RZ 19-02 and ordinance number 2019-09. Approved for a 257-lot, age-restricted, single-family detached residential subdivision, Soleil Summit Chase, on a 75.29 plus or minus acre tract located at the intersection of Rosebud Road, Temple Johnson Road, and Brushy Fork Road, Snellville. Tax parcels 5099, 231, 232, and 326. Mr. Thompson?
Thank you, Mayor. Basically, we're going to do a repeat of what's been asked as far as the conditions changed. Again, is to sync the, replace the condition limiting building materials and certain percentages to that which is in the plan book. And again, to shift the maintenance responsibilities of the painting and exterior treatments to the homeowner and not the HOA. Specifically, the HOA will inspect and make sure that the homeowners are doing their best and meeting all the maintenance requirements. As far as the fence condition, this is where we would probably need to table and get that worked out if it's not to your satisfaction now.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. We've heard Mr. Gaskin. Did you want to say anything else?
Well, I said I wasn't going to speak, but again, I'd like to address the tabling. Again, I don't see these issues related. I understand the leverage that the city has, but I don't see the two issues related to one another. I'm willing to work it out separate as an item, and again, however we have to come back, or either if I would present Jason the information in terms of, suppose we don't come to an agreement, you know, what if he wants a 10-foot fence or something? I would hate for the project to be held up, architectural standards, 250 lots, because neighbors can't come to agreement. By the way, there is no litigation. There's threats and so forth, it's going back and forth. This was Mr. Brett's house. It's off the property, it's not part of the property, but again, I don't want to be a bad neighbor. I want to work things out, and I certainly understand. So I would request that you not table this specific request, 2402, in light of the screening issue, and let's handle that separately. And I don't know how to guarantee you other than we can. Jason's been a great facilitator. And it may mean that the parties meet at his office, we come up with something. But again, my concern is the whole project being held up because of 2 feet in fence height or something like that. So my request is if you could vote on the application as submitted. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gaskin. Now, thank you, Chuck. Now we need to have the public hearing. Again, I will open the floor to public comment. We are discussing CIC 24-02. Anyone who would like to speak either in favor or in opposition to this change in conditions, please come forward. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Motion to postpone CIC 24-02 until the September 9th meeting for a second reading.
There's a motion to postpone. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion to postpone and a second. Any discussion by council?
Currently, they have a number of properties under construction, and they're all in the section that is before us under this case. And my concern is holding up this project for 2 weeks over the cost of a fence along the property line. I would prefer if my fellow council members would amend their motion to install a 6-foot opaque fence, design and material to be approved by the Director of Planning and Development, where this development abuts parcel 5094060. According to the drawings dated 3/1/2019, Soleil Summit Chase site plan uploaded to the city's webpage and dated 6/13/2024 thereupon. I would appreciate the amendment of the motion, and I will rest.
And as far as discussion, I would prefer in my comments that we go ahead and take a vote on the changing conditions as presented tonight. This would create, I know the homes are selling, you've sold 4 already. A postponement of this even for 2 or it may be 3 weeks before our next meeting would mean them not being able to close on any other homes in that time frame. And I think that creates a hardship, not only on people wanting to move into the subdivision and purchase a house. They may have lenders and loans that are being tied up and interest rate issues with their contracts and their lenders and underwriting, and those types of holdups and delays can really affect and have a cascading effect. So I would appreciate consideration by council of not supporting the postponement and moving to a vote.
Mayor, I do not wish to amend.
Very good. Therefore, we have a motion to postpone to September 9th with a second. So I will call for the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. We're voting for the postponement to September the 9th. She does not want to amend, which means she wants to uphold the postponement to September the 9th. Okay. Sure. Are we all clear? We're voting to postpone to September the 9th. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 1 and 2 in favor, and all opposed. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 opposed. So the motion to postpone has failed. So I will entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve CIC-02 with the following additional condition. The applicant shall install a 6-foot opaque fence, design and material to be approved by the Director of Planning and Development, to run along the property line where it abuts parcel 5094060. According to the drawings dated 3/1/2019 Soleil Summit Chase site plan and uploaded to the city's webpage, which dates it as 6/13/2024. That is my motion.
There is a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion to approve, of course, with the 6-foot fence additional condition. So we have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 4 in favor, any opposed, and 2 opposed. So the change in conditions has been approved. That ends our public hearing agenda items. So we'll move, we have nothing under consent agenda, no old business. We have one item under new business. It's item A, consideration and action on correction to surplus of city police vehicle. Apparently in the last surplusing of police vehicles, the wrong vehicle was identified as Unit 125, and that is being corrected and surplused. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the correction to the surplusing of a city vehicle.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. Okay, so we made it to the end of tonight's business agenda, so we'll move to council reports, and we'll start with Councilmember Carter.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for staying. I'll be very brief. I really enjoyed a community meeting many of us attended yesterday at the Hickory Station subdivision. I learned a lot. They learned a lot from us. And my hope, I said this ever since I've been elected, that those of you who live in these subdivisions, I would appreciate if you would invite us to come to your HOA meetings so that we can share information and once again learn from each other. Thank you for coming and have a good evening.
Thank you, Norman. We'll move to Councilmember Hetherington.
I thought I was going to get a chance to abide by the Christy Linsky school of I don't make reports after 10, but Norman went real fast. Thank y'all for coming out tonight. Just a couple of quick things. First of all, Todd and I got to spend some time with the chairman of our DDA and about 50 other municipal leaders from Gwinnett County this weekend. And in talking with them, there were 2 things that I heard over and over. One was how great the Grove is and how excited people are about that and about Crooked Can coming in. And the second was what a gem we have in Mercy. So we already knew that, but it's great to hear that from other people too. And I'm so proud to serve on a council that is doing good things and that has such a great reputation in our county. These people work hard for y'all. The other couple, we got a couple events coming up. First of all, this Thursday, Business After Hours. Thursday the 29th, 6 to 8 p.m. at Miller's Ale House. If you own a business in Snellville, you want to own a business in Snellville, you own a business near Snellville, that's the place to be. Come network, meet people, and eat some really good food. The other is Food Truck Friday, September 6th, 4 to 8 p.m. right here on the town green. Lots of food trucks, good food. It's going to be a great time. Thanks.
Thank you, Carrie. Councilmember Linsky.
Hi, good evening. I hated to set myself up, I guess, to be the contrarian today in the no votes, but I cast those votes with a great deal of thought, and my bottom line is going to be to protect our existing neighborhoods, and I'm proud to have stayed true to my principle. Thank you all for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Christy. Mayor Pro Tem Warner.
Oh, did Gretchen say she didn't want to go?
Well, how did I switch you? I checked your box and moved on. I'm sorry, Councilmember Schultz.
Looking at the clock on the back of the room, it says 10 o'clock. I think I'll not make any council comments tonight.
Thank you, Gretchen. Now, Mayor Pro Tem Warner.
Gretchen, you were supposed to buy me time. Let's see what's happened. No matter which side of an issue you come down on, we really spend a lot of time poring over every single decision that comes before us and trying to do what we believe is right. And I always start on zonings with the look of, does it meet our plans? And then how can I best protect my friends and neighbors? And I believe that we did that tonight on every one of the cases that was before us. I adore my fellow council members, every single one of them, and mayor. It is a joy to be here serving you and serving with them. Our time that we spent hopefully getting smarter over in Huntsville was very productive. We came away with some great ideas. We found out, well, the greatest thing was we actually asked the people what not to do, what their mistakes were, because everybody is quick to say, oh, we did this great, we did that great. And they were very honest with us, and hopefully we will be able to bring some of that to our city so we don't make, you don't have to make the same mistakes others do if you can learn from their mistakes. So thank you very much. Have a good night. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Warner. And just a couple of comments. I'd like to recognize that Mayor Pro Tem Warner has a birthday tomorrow.
Yes, I do.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.
26th. 12. Yeah. Would like to also announce that the Citizens Police Academy is now accepting applications for their fall session. It will start September 19th and run through November 7th on Thursday nights. Applications are due in by the 13th, so if you are interested in this really, really great program, it is well worth your time and energy to learn about what it takes to be a police officer and how our officers do their jobs every day. It really is eye-opening and gives you a new appreciation for what they do every day. On Friday night, the city held the first Fourth Friday movie in the Grove. There was, the movies are children's movies. It was Kung Fu Panda 4. And there was a food truck out there and King of Pops and I think 2 food trucks? One food truck and King of Pops, and great time was had by all. It was just a beautiful night out. So it will be the 4th Friday of the month. We'll have one coming up in September and then another one in October. So we hope that you will put that on your calendar. Also, the 3rd Thursdays have started in the Grove with some music and food trucks. So if you'd like to come out from 6 to 8 on the 3rd Thursdays of the month, then those will be going through October, November timeframe, depending on weather. So with that, I will close my report, and then we will open the floor to public comment. If you'd like to come forward and speak on one topic for 5 minutes, please come forward. Provide your name and address for the record. Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
The blight property, is it working? Yeah. Thank you. That's over there on McGee Road, where it used to be I guess it used to be a pool and all that, but it's completely abandoned and it's not safe. So we brought this up over a year ago, and now Officer Green is taking upon him and hopefully working with the attorney so we can get something done, because I surely do not want to be reactive to someone getting hurt. I mean, we've been very fortunate that no one has fallen into that pool at this point, and it has a covering on it and all that, but it's sinking in. So someone definitely can get hurt. And we already, fellow neighbors was able to find another citizen who was wandering, and we had thought that they were actually in that space, and thank God that they were not. Which leads me to my next point. Thank you so much, Queen. My next point is homelessness. There has been an increasing amount of individuals that have been roaming our streets, that are sitting here at the Snellville Cemetery right next door, that is over there off a racetrack across the street from First Baptist, and sleeping. I can't think of some of the streets, but we have photos. Other community members have photos. My question is, what is our game plan as a city to address this growing issue? Is not going anywhere. To my understanding, and you can fact check me, I don't think Gwinnett County and the entire county has a shelter. So maybe Snellville can help partner with the county to make sure that we address this issue, because it is here at our front door. It has always been here, but is more prevalent than ever. So that's something to table and have a conversation at a later point, but I would love for that to be a discussion that we desperately really need to have. And then with the development that we're having, again, I bring this up all the time, we know development is coming, but can we please make sure that our existing homeowners and property owners who are renting, who are members of HOAs, that you are upholding your responsibilities, because it falls on us when people do not do that. I know you're saying about you're going to have an HOA. My facility is old. We don't have an HOA. So I rely on code enforcement. But there are communities that still have HOAs and people aren't holding up to their obligations. And that makes it bad for all of us. So I'm just hoping that we can work together in some way as we're building and making Snellville beautiful, continue to grow, that we're making sure that we continue to take care of what we already have, and making sure people who own property, that they're keeping it up, like over there off of Lenore Church across the street from Briscoe Park. Those are apartments there. We already have mixed use living here. We have apartments, we have condos, we have townhomes right over there. But because they aren't being taken care of, no one pays attention to them. But those of us that actually go to that park and live on that side of town. And then you have people who have HOAs and they are not upholding their responsibilities with the HOA. So we need to hold other people accountable as well who are already here. Because if we want to hold them accountable, we need to hold accountable the people that's here who have property. That's an asset I have, and thank y'all so much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Trisha Rollins, 2088 Harbor Oaks Drive. I had the pleasure this week of working with a couple from Peachtree City, and I think they saw the good and the bad of Snellville. The good part we had a fantastic response from the police department to find their son who was lost here in Snellville. Mr. and Miss Nadlinger were very appreciative of the response from the police department. And in that time, they also saw some things that were troubling. And as Catherine spoke of the swimming pool off of McGee Road, we ended up in there searching for him, and the swimming pool is covered in kudzu. If that 23-year-old had walked across that swimming pool, not knowing it's there, he would have been under those vines. That place has been boarded up, board's been taken off, kudzu's all in it, mold is in the building, graffiti on the pump station, no signs telling people stay out, open gate, fences down. He could have easily gone in there. Nobody would have seen it. I did make a call to code enforcement, and Officer Green did go out there and take pictures, and he will be recommending to you demolition of the facility. I hope you will support that. If you want to go out there and look at it for yourself, it's bad. That kid could have ended up under the kudzu very easily. That's basically what I want to say, is that, I just appreciate the police department's response. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shantae Pitt, and I am 2704 Hickory Smoke Court. I'm not going to take the whole 5 minutes. I know everybody ready to go. So I'm kind of just going to mimic where everybody else said. Well, first of all, I'd like to say I appreciate you all. I definitely don't envy your position of figuring out how the city would grow. I've been coming to these the last couple of years, and I will say you're honest enough to let us know a couple of years ago, since I've been coming here, that the growth will happen, and it is a part of the 100-year plan. So the one thing I guess I would say is, now that we understand it's here, when I was in the military, I used to tell my soldiers, we can't cry over spilled milk. So at this point, the milk has been spilled. So I guess we're at a position now what we can do as a community to make sure that the interests that are being voted on is moving forward in a positive way. I can say the one thing that I probably did not like is I heard the word profit a lot from individuals who was here. And then when I guess they received what they want, they kind of left already. And I would love for them to have to stay here the entire time to feel what the community really felt. So as they talked about the word profit, I was reminded of a scripture that states, "For what shall it profit a man if he should gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" And I feel like that is true not only as an individual, but as a community. We're going to decide in the next couple of years what our soul look like. I'm going to be optimistic and believing that all the growth that's coming here is going to be positive. Again, it's spilled milk, so I'm going to make sure me and my family move forward and being a positive force in the community, and hope that we can spread the word, the good news that Snellville is here, everybody is somebody, and that we feel like this growth is positive. So the only thing that I would ask that we can look at, I understand they talked about Church Road a little bit, but we all know that I am a resident of Britt, and I love my school, and I want to ensure that all the construction that does happen, I don't want to believe that they're not going to use Church Road for all that stuff. So I ask that you all, as the council, kind of look out for Britt. There would be a lot of traffic. If they live here, they know at 8 o'clock starts our drop off in the morning. That street is 2 lanes, 1 whole lane in the morning. In the afternoon, it's always taken up by our cars of our kids being dropped off and picked up. So when they start with this construction, that we as a city look out for that portion of the street and figure out to ensure that the continued safety for that side of the street is ongoing. A lot of time, because that street is lined with cars, a lot of cars like to come in the opposite direction to try to skid to get onto Main Street. So I can foresee that as a person who worked on that corner with the stop sign, that it might be a problem once these trucks and construction equipment come. So I just ask that on behalf of my school, the Great Britt Elementary School, that y'all help us look forward in the next couple of months to years to ensure that that portion of the street on Church Street remains safe. Awesome. All right. Y'all have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I will close the public comment and entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
There's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. We are done. Thank you all for hanging in to the end. The time is 10.